All right, welcome back. This is going to be a bit of a trade recap on Friday. So, unfortunately, I wasn't able to screen record the trade because I was at work, um, and I totally forgot to screen cap or like take a screenshot of the apex with the actual like a little line on Tradeovate. So I'm going to go over this and then I'll show you the report from Tradeovate to show you the actual fill and like that it was a legit trade. But basically, I pretty much watched from 9:30. I pretty much watched it go straight up, and I didn't really see a setup on ES here. Like, so let me just mark out 9:30 real quick so we know where it is. This is 9:30. Okay, we're on a 1 minute chart here. And we had that retracement. We had the move up here initially, and then we had the retracement. Then going into 9:30, we had a small move, stop run underneath this low. Now, I was watching some other guys on like other influencers, and they were um, they were trading NQ, and NQ actually didn't make the lower low here, so it had like a SMT. And actually, I think what do I have? I can show that. Yeah, I can show that here with this. This is what I was looking at too on that other day. So 1 minute chart NQ. Um, we have that low here, and then we have the high low. Let me just take off. Yeah, so we have the low here, and then we have. Hopefully, it's picking it up. We have the high low here, so it's um, like that, you know. So SMT with ES. ES makes the lower low here, but I didn't really see a setup here to go long necessarily. There was a really small, really small fair value gap here. If I just make that like that, I make my buy side imbalances green. Uh, so could you maybe have taken that? I guess. Could you have gone on this down close candle here? Maybe, you know, if you were looking at the last up close candle here being like the breaker, it come down perfectly and touched it. Spread might not have filled you, you know. So do you trade like that? I don't know. That's not how I trade. I trade off of fair value gaps. So pretty much, I saw the real tiny one. It wasn't enough for me. I didn't take the trade, and I basically just watched. I watched it go up. There was another fair value gap just here. It dips into that. I didn't take any off of that. I watched it basically, I guess, in a sense, create almost like a bull flag. Um, and then I watched it go up again. I didn't capture that move there in that fair value gap. Um, and yeah, it just sort of kept going up. And then basically at 11 o'clock, I don't trade anymore. And this run here, I was initially thinking that this run here was like a market structure shift. This is sort of how I just draw out my market structure shifts right at the end of the AM session, but it really didn't have that big of a displacement. It looks like a big displacement with this candle when it was forming. Like without this up close candle here, it looks like, oh yeah, this is actually like quite a decent displacement, and we could be retracing in the lunch hour, coming back to like the opening range gap and stuff like that. This is why I had these marked out here, and I had these opening range gaps graded for both NQ and ES. So I thought that maybe we're going to turn around and come back down and revisit that. Um, but pretty much this next candle opened and filled almost the whole thing. And I was sort of, yeah, I basically was thinking about it and I was like, that's too small of a, it's sort of too small of a gap. It's sort of come up and retraced too much. I just didn't take the trade. It wasn't a confident enough setup. If this stayed down and this next candle stayed down and created a larger fair value gap, I probably would have entered on that, but it didn't, and it only had the two small ones here, and I didn't take the trade. And I mean, you look at the time of day, okay? It's fucking like smack bang on 11 o'clock. So like it's the end of the AM session, and I mean, look what it does after that. I mean, it just goes sideways until 12 o'clock basically. But you know, is there five handle setups in here? I mean, yeah, but is it the choicest sort of clearest setup? Well, not really. So I pretty much just waited and I watched this while I was at work. And I saw this drop down after 1 o'clock. I was gonna take this trade, but it didn't retrace into the fair value gap, like into the sell side imbalance. So it didn't come up into there, and then it just kept going lower. I saw this one here, but I think this would have stopped me out. And plus, I kind of wanted to wait until 1:30 because that's really when the PM session starts. But if I had got in on this fair value gap here, yeah, it moves 6.25 points against me. So I mean, I'm trading with a five handle stop. My model is 5 points for 5 points, five handles, five handle stop, five handle target. So I watched it basically, you know, smash down, do this really quick 1 minute candle straight to the sell side liquidity. Now, why do I have this low marked out? Well, ICT teaches that the lunch hour is between 12 and 1, right? But he says that it can start as early as like 11:30. So what's the most obvious low after 11 o'clock? Okay. Well, it's that low there. Okay. And, you know, could you have used this low here? Okay. Yeah. Could you have used this low here right at 12 o'clock? I mean, yeah. But this is like the most obvious one. You know, it stands out. Now, I have this indicator called JWT sessions. This is what the gray areas is. So the gray area is 8:30 to 11, the New York morning session. This area here, which is just my normal background color, is in between that, 11 to 1:30. And then this gray area is the PM session, 1:30 to 4. So inside of this darker gray area, what's the most obvious low and the most obvious high? Well, there's the most obvious low and there's the most obvious high, right? So you expect that potentially one of these is going to get run out. And we've seen this drop here, no retracement into this, drop here, retracement, comes back up to that up close candle, smashes down below this low and takes it out. Okay, then, okay, my premise for this trade was thinking, okay, we've been going up all day basically. Okay, we're at all-time highs. Okay, we had the retracement here, but since 9:30 we had that stop run, and then it's been going up all day, consolidated, starts to sort of grind a little bit higher in lunch. Then coming into 1 o'clock, we retrace, all right? Plus, it's Friday, okay? So you have to potentially anticipate a like TGIF Friday, or you know, it create the high of the day and then pull back and consolidate for the rest of the day, right? So the real premise for my trade here though, why I went long, is I seen it take out sell side liquidity, okay? I then see it create this little short-term high, and then it runs out that high. Let me just take the cross off. I see it take out this short-term high here, but it's not really like a energetic like displacement. It didn't really like ICT says in his videos, you want to see the displacement with a gap because that is it showing its hand, right? It's like, oh, there it is, you know? And so then we create a high and then we come back off that. And I mean, look at the time, okay? We're now at 1:30. So now the PM session has technically started, right? We retrace a little bit, and then right at 1:37, boom, we get that big candle, and the next candle, it doesn't do it on that candle, but the next candle wicks up and takes out that high. But we have left now a fair value gap. So as soon as I saw that, and I looked at where my 5 points would be and where my stop was going to be, and it just made perfect sense. My stop's going to be pretty much, well, it was directly at this short-term low. Then, let me just zoom in here so you can see it. Then my target is basically up here to where it fills in this sell side imbalance from that big sudden drop down. Okay. And I have this SIBI marked out up here because it was unfilled here. So potentially it wants to draw up here. Now ICT says this as well. You can have a draw on liquidity. It doesn't have to reach there for you to be profitable. Okay? You could be wrong on your draw on liquidity, right? But you can still be profitable even if it never makes it to your quote unquote like absolute end target, right? I'm just looking at this as, okay, this was unfilled. This one here got filled. This one here didn't. It got partially filled just here, okay? And then we run it out one more time and fully fill it in, right? I was looking at this here as it probably wants to go up there, retrace, and then either, I mean, it can go higher after that. It can retrace and go lower. It can consolidate, But I was looking at this as I guess, the best case scenario draw, right? Now, as you can see here, okay, the rest of the PM session, it never made it up there, but I still won on the trade, So this is what, so this here was basically, it was just shy of filling in this gap, which great. And as you can see, it basically goes there and then stops and then starts to turn around. But I got 5 handles. Okay, so my trade played out. I took a little bit of heat, but it just come down to fully close in that fair value gap perfectly. By the way, I mean, look at that. Literally, let me just get this off real quick. Look at that. Absolutely perfect. You can't get any more perfect. It wicks down, touches the bottom of that fair value gap, and then runs. Like literally, that candle touches it, it comes back up because it's an up close, and then two candles, it goes straight up and takes me out. Takes me out just there, and then the third candle goes up and makes sure it fills in this gap. And I would be looking at this as a last up close candle before the down move, being a bearish order block. That's where it ticks the algorithm back to start going lower, and it does go lower and does take out that low. So, like I said, I'm using this as a 5-handle model, right? But what can you do if you're someone that doesn't just want to get 5 handles? Or what could you do later on in your development, right? Well, you can take something off at 5 handles, okay? Or you can simply aim to take something off as it fully closes in this imbalance, okay? You can take something off. I would be taking something off here at this high, okay? Because that's already 10 points or 10.5 points, okay? I'd be taking something off there, okay? Or at least, and then your best case target is at the bottom of this gap, okay? And then potentially if you still had maybe one contract left going, you put it like one tick below the high to allow for the one tick spread, okay? And then that would fill in that gap completely. Now we have a little volume imbalance and another imbalance just there. So potentially, if you had it right at the top of that gap, it probably would have filled you. It might have gone a little bit higher. I don't know. But I'm like my model is I'm trading with very small size. Like I'm only trading with 5 micros at the moment. I'm going to be changing to one full size mini. But while I'm at one full size mini, it's 5 handles. My whole trade's coming off, right? When I go to 2 minis later on, when I have the equity in the account, then I'll take one off at 5 handles. My stop will be at break even, and I'll let the other one go to the next target. I'll take the other one off at here, right? Something like that, at that high. Okay, so that's what I'm sort of saying. But as you can see here, okay, the trade moved in my favor. I got 5 points. It went basically to this up close candle, started to turn around, and if I didn't get out here and I was aiming for this high up here, it would have come back and stopped me out. Okay. Now you could say that, you could take partials, or at least at the very, very least, once it's moved up like this, you could move your stop to underneath this low to cut some risk, or stop to break even, right? So worst case scenario, you probably would have got stopped on break even if you were aiming for this gap or even aiming for this high. I mean, it is what it is, but I'm taking all my trade off at the moment at 5 handles, or I'm taking like half my trade off. Like if I've got 2 contracts, I'm taking one off. If I've got 5 contracts, I'm taking 3 off at 5 handles kind of thing, and I'll let the other 2 go to the next targets. But I'm only trading with one at the moment. So let me show you this. Like I said, this is a screenshot from the report thing, and it's Apex evaluation still. So we were 50,119 on the Thursday. We've made another $119, so we're 239.6 now on the evaluation. 5 micros, and the buy price was 7162.25. So if I just minimize that, that is the top of that. If I look over here, that is the top of that busy, 7162.25. And if we get the exit price, 7167.25, which is exactly 5 handles just there. So that was the trade. Little trade recap, little, I guess, premise on what I thought was going to happen. I was technically wrong on the direction, right? Like, it only went up to here and then basically turned around, would have stopped me out, and basically did nothing for the rest of the day. But there's multiple 5 handle setups here. Like, I'm already sort of looking at this, okay, as sell side taken here, this low, taken here, run up, okay, small little like swing high there. It's not really, they're equal highs, but you could use that because it's got this imbalance, right? So what's the drawdown on this? 2.5 points. Okay, you got a 4.5 stop, or you just put a 5 handle stop on it. And as you can see, 5 handles, you get that run there. Maybe you wait for this move here. Okay, you put a 5 handle stop on it. It's just there. It goes in your favor. Where are we? Goes in your favor. 5 points there. If you waited for these highs to actually get taken out, it would have been after 4 o'clock. Maybe you don't like trading after 4 o'clock, but I mean, there's multiple 5 handle setups in these types of days, like even when it's, I guess, consolidating like that. So, but yeah, just want to do a quick trade recap. I'm going to do a trade recap, or I'm going to, if I'm at home, if I'm at work, I can't screen record the trade, but so I'll do like a trade recap. If I'm at home, I will screen record the trade and I'll actually play the trade out in real time. Yeah, well, not in real, but I'll play the video of the trade on the video, on the trade recap. So yeah, thanks for watching, and bring on Monday's trading, I guess.